What is up, my demons, on a Monday? Bet you didn't think you would get a double shot of the Reaper today, now did you? But that's right, the big bad Devil Daddy himself has so many interviews this week, I don't even know what to do. No, I'm kidding. You know, it's going to be a great Monday, especially if you had a rough day at work. You get double the dose, double the laughs. And we're going to start this evening off with the great writer, director of the film Fang, Richard Burgin and Isabella Rangel. Hopefully I said that correctly.
Rangel. Oh, that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I made it sound a little
mispronounced, but you pronounced Burgin perfectly.
Yeah.
1 out of 2 ain't bad, as they say. So what you got to do out there for me, demons, is make sure you are sharing this. Share it out everywhere and anywhere there is a horror lover, because we have got to get this out to the masses. But before we get into all this chaos, we're going to take a quick commercial break to our brothers at Villain Arts Tattoos. Check that shit out. That's right. You know what the hell to do. I say it every week. When Villain Arts Tattoos, the largest tattoo convention, comes to your state, your city, your town, you get there. I don't care if you got to ask your auntie, your grandma, your cousin, your brother, sister. Get out there, get a high quality tattoo from any of the most amazing tattoo artists across the country, as well as take in all the great performers. And Kansas City, in just 2 weeks, the big bad Devil Daddy will be there signing stuff for you, and we're going to have a good time down there. So come on out and check us out. All right, let's get right into it. We have the great writer-director Richard Burgin with us, and Isabella as well. And let's just start right from where this all began. What gave you the idea that you wanted to get into writing horror and directing horror films?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Reaper. I guess what inspired me to get into horror, which is it's kind of a little unusual because my parents were a little more strict. They did not want me watching a lot of horror or R-rated kinds of movies when I was little, but then I really started to get into it as a teenager, and I was thinking, you know, this is some pretty wild stuff. This is some pretty incredible stuff, and I really like the feeling of kind of going into this strange world and not knowing what was going to happen next. But the real reason why I got into making movies instead of just watching movies is Well, a lot of it has to do with me being insane, but I guess it's.
Aren't we all? I
I
think we
guess
all are
it's the
a little.
horror, the horror, the horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's
What's
the
up,
horror
Emma?
in my life and the world around us that made me want to get into horror.
I think it takes us out of our comfort zones. Usually, there's just that one film that we end up seeing, and it just grips us in a way that we're like, "This is terrifying, but I love it." So, what film did that for you?
Well, I think The Shining was the first adult horror movie that I saw. And by adult, I don't mean like adult, but not a kid's movie. And I thought that was really
Definitely
spectacular.
not a morning cartoons. So, yeah, what a great one to start with. Not
Well,
only
thank
the
you.
the great Jack Nicholson, but the different imagery and just sheer terror in some of the most not necessarily insignificant ways, I would say, but just little things, little nuances throughout the film would just kind of give you the heebie-jeebies. So I could definitely see how that
Oh
would
yeah, no, the
and the
attention to detail, it's incredible.
Yeah, that movie is great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I grew up with horror because my mom is a big fan, and my dad was like, "Don't let her watch this shit." So I can't even remember when was the first movie I saw and which one. I think it was Chucky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, it says Chicago and Chucky.
yeah,
It's like the horror equivalent of Toy Story. That was something I realized recently.
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know. I saw so many. Yeah,
You could say that. Toy Story gone wrong in so many wonderful
Yeah.
ways. It was the first of its kind to do a play on um, a soul being able to go inside a lifeless thing. And the fact that it was something as innocent as a child's toy, that's what made it even more scarier because you walk past your kid's room and you see the dolls just sitting there staring at you. After that, watching that movie, you're thinking it's going to come after you. You know.
Never
So
get
I
a
don't know if
red-haired dog. Don't trust it.
yep.
exactly freaky. Well, that's cool. So, at what point did you Did you start out doing writing first, or did you try shooting some of your own little, you know? A lot of directors I've talked to, they shot little things with a home video camera, stuff like that. Is that kind of how it started for you?
Oh yeah, well, I was doing both as a kid, but probably more writing overall. Although definitely whenever I had access to a camera, I remember I was on a plane once when I was 10 years old, and I was wanting to film things on the plane, and then I went into the first class section of the plane, and somebody told me, "Put that thing away. We don't want you filming in the first class section." And I was like 10, and I'm like, "All right, I guess I just did my first illegal action."
Yeah. They don't want the Mile High Club to be filmed, in first
True.
class. I love it. All
Oh, thank
right.
you.
And then eventually this led to inspiring you to do. Now, did you? I can't remember if you said this or not. Was this kind of your vision of a remake of an older film?
No, it was Fang was very much inspired
Or
by
all of it?
kind of events in my life, but I was influenced by a lot of older movies that I saw before This one, I
Oh,
think that it's like, it's plagiarism if you rip off one movie. If you rip off like 100 different movies, then it's being inspired.
I just couldn't remember. I'm so sorry. That
No, it's
day
all
at
good.
the
No, it's
dead.
not the only movie named Fang, but it's the only Richard Burgin's Fang. So far, there
Correct.
might be a Fang 2 at some point, but
Yeah.
we
Oh,
still
that
got
would
we
be
still got to
awesome.
make this one. Oh yeah, we still gotta. It would. I guess the ending of Fang is such that there would have to be a very questionable decision made by law enforcement for there to be a sequel.
Sure. It's like leaving a window open. And, we love those cliffhangers. You got to have them because it sets it up for another installment. And definitely after watching as much of it as I could, I definitely think that there very well could be a sequel in the future because,
Well, thank
damn,
you.
the imagery, the acting, the psychosis. I love psychological thrillers. They're fantastic. Is just on point so much. So what you said that this film was written kind of based on personal experiences of yours. So how about first we let everybody out there in Morgrot universe know a little bit about the storyline. Now this film has long since come out and you guys can catch it on YouTube. So there's no excuses why you won't see this film.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let everybody out there know what it's about.
Oh, thank you very much. And Fang tells the story of a young man named Billy Cochran, a janitor at Mr. Wolfson's factory in like a very kind of shitty neighborhood of Chicago. And Billy lives with his mother, Gina, who has stage 5 Parkinson's. And so already right from the beginning of Fang, Billy's life is pretty bleak. He's not going to a lot of parties. He's not really enjoying himself very much. And so one night Billy wakes up, he has to use the bathroom at home, and there's a rat in the bathtub. And so the rat jumps out, it chases Billy around the house, and it bites him. Rat. And so from that point forward, Billy starts to think that, maybe he's turning into a rat. He sees rat fur growing on his arms. He starts to feel these more animalistic instincts taking over. And that's the most I can give away about Fang without saying too much. You can watch it on Amazon Prime and on Apple TV. It's coming to more and more streaming platforms soon. It's going to be on Tubi.
Yeah.
And on YouTube we have, Tubi is really taking off, but it's going to be on Plex soon too. He says
Hell yeah.
he's a fan of Plex.
Yeah, I watch a lot of movies.
It's so cool to see it for
Plex.
free at home,
Yeah.
with such a big selection. So, and on YouTube we have 10 different clips from Fang along with the trailer, so you can watch all 10 clips. It's a significant chunk of the movie, and you can see for yourself, do I want to have the full Fang experience?
Oh, it's definitely going to draw you in.
Thank you.
In my opinion, because you said how this young man is having such a bleak outlook on life. He is not enjoying himself. It is not a normal existence. So I feel like the way, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you shot it in such a way as to make everything so dark and dreary image-wise around him at all times, because from room to room, situation to situation, it's like the lighting. I absolutely love it.
Oh, thank
Was
you.
that to kind of create that feeling?
Well, it was very much a collaborative effort for Fang. I have to give a lot of credit to Jason Kranick, our cinematographer, and Chris Sato, our gaffer, for the lighting. And then part of the effect was achieved on Fang just by where we filmed and when. We filmed mainly on the south side of Chicago and in nearby
Mm.
areas like Cicero and Lockport, Illinois. And we filmed in January and February 2020. So naturally, everything looked a lot bleaker than it usually does because it was winter and it was very cold and gray. And we're very lucky there was no snowstorm that
Oh yeah.
damaged continuity. That would have been, I would have been like, I don't care about this. Just we don't want it to mess up the have it be snow in one shot, no snow in the other. that would be the
Yeah,
problem.
for sure. You got to have continuity
Oh, yeah.
because you have to be able to explain it. So, yeah, I think the areas that you chose to film this at couldn't have been better.
Oh, thank
And
you.
yeah, absolutely. And you couldn't have chosen a better actress. There we go. In Lynn Lowry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's really good.
Now Lynn told me that this was her favorite performance out of any of the movies she's acted in, was playing Gina in Fang. And after she contacted me and she told me she wanted a part in the movie I was making, I really started expanding her role in the script. Originally the character was going to be Billy's dad having Parkinson's, but then I decided, okay, Billy's dad is dead now. Now it's going to be mother and son. It's going to be Lynn, and I wanted to give her a lot of very dramatic scenes, and she is kind of the villain and the maybe even the biggest victim of the story at the same time.
It feels like that. It really, really does. Because there are just moments that when she's delivering those lines, like, she's in full tear mode, full sadness. I mean, you felt that shit. You know what I mean? And if people don't feel it, something's wrong, because I feel like she just knocked that role out of the park. But she does seem, and she can flip flop a lot. So one minute
and she just kind of, we didn't even do rehearsals with Lynn. She just showed up on set and she nailed it right away. She just really got the character. I think it was kind of instinctual for her. So I was really, I would really say proud.
And then let's see, we can't forget about this poor young man.
Oh yeah,
he did pretty
no,
good.
Dylan did amazing work too. I mean, and originally I wanted to play Billy myself and Fang, and then I realized if other people that I was working with, I realized that would be a pretty terrible idea because that would take a lot of focus away from the directing work that I needed to be doing. So I put out the audition notices on Backstage.com. I got about 100 different actors applying for this role, and a couple of actors who were offended by this role and didn't want to do it. And so I got an audition. Offended. And there's always somebody is just like, the script is just not appropriate. And I'm like, oh, I know it's not appropriate. That's why I wrote it this way.
You fucking idiots. It's horror. It's
meant to be.
Come on,
horrific.
Man.
Yeah.
It is meant to treat your feelings. It's really, if you don't want to watch it, change the fucking station. You know what I mean? You don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
But that you could capitalize on this, being known as the guy that had some people turn the thought it
I'm
was
sure that
wrong.
happens in a lot of movies. It's just with the casting that's like a lot of. I'm sure like the more prominent actors get sent like 20 or 30 scripts every day, and it's like they got to have somebody sort through it, and it's like, okay, this one is just weird. Let's take it past. Nothing personal.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's so out there though that people wouldn't want to play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Actually, I think
I hope not. That was what I was banking on, but that's always the thing, and that's part of the whole writing process and pre-production process is that you never know how people are going to react to the movie until they're faced with it. Like I didn't know how is Lynn going to react to her character and some of the things that her character does because she has scenes where she is very sick and insane and definitely doing some pretty out there stuff. But then when she got the script, she was like, "I love it. I really want to do this."
she's like I can do woe is me and pathetic me.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
and that's the thing. Not every actor. Oh, thank you. Not every actor is willing to be pathetic in a movie.
Right.
That's not a look that everybody wants. So I'm really grateful for everybody who worked on Fang, for the whole cast and crew. I couldn't have chosen a better team to work with.
Yeah.
That's really what brings these awesome films to life, is the fact that you have a great cast, they work well together, it seems natural, and then it's all the people behind the scenes as well. I gotta say, just from seeing some of the appliances for the fur, nicely done, very believable.
Oh,
And
thank you.
his reaction to that was really, really well done. Did Isabella do any of the effects work at all, or anything?
Yeah, I'm starting on this special effects.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
have some shorts coming up,
That
and I'm
she's
excited
yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, she's going to be doing the. Oh, thank you. Yeah, she's going to be doing the makeup on my upcoming short films and videos, and we shot some footage recently of some very
Creepy.
deranged
Yeah.
clown makeup for us, and that video will be coming out very soon.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I love makeup, and it's so cool the way we can transform people's faces for the grotesque.
For
Yes.
any kind of effect, and you
Any
have
kind
some
of
wonderful
effect.
makeup
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That's really
Um,
cool.
man, you should have called me. A clown short?
Oh yeah, no, we would totally work with you on a clown
Yeah,
short.
that's true.
Oh yeah.
When I first met y'all, I was like, I always get a good feeling, about different directors and creative people. Definitely, I was like, yeah, I could see myself, working with you at some point. And I like a challenge,
That's really cool.
and I really do like a challenge. And I think all actors should challenge themselves from time to
Yeah.
time,
Absolutely.
because it you got to get out of that comfort zone a little bit, like we were
Oh
talking
yeah.
about before, because it makes you more dynamic, I think, as an artist as well. So hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
That was also a first for me too, is that Thing was my first time having makeup applied on my face because there was actually one scene in Thing that I act in. It is the dream sequence where Billy meets Dr. Rat, and I'm Dr. Rat. I have the mask on, and our makeup and special effects artist on Fang, Caitlin Young, she had to apply this gray makeup over my face and my neck to that mask. So that was a really cool experience for me, and it's it's major concentration and focus, and some actors have to sit there for hours and hours while the makeup is applied and the prosthetics. So I'm glad I got to have that experience, and I've gained a much greater appreciation for makeup and practical effects
Nice.
work.
It's it's a labor of love for one.
Oh yeah.
I
And
love it.
I think once you get over that hump of the first time of having it, that each time gets a little bit easier. I would say, because you're kind of used to things. So I mean, it just depends on how big the effects are going to be. This that, but at least now you know what it feels like to do it, and you got to be in it at the same time. So that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm going to be squinting with everything on my eyes.
Oh yeah, I try to apply eyeshadow. Like eyeshadow in his eyes. It's like, oh.
Hey, it adds a dimension to the character.
That's
You never
right.
know. It might. Sometimes little things occur. I like to call them happy accidents.
Yeah.
No, the happy accidents are the best kind of accidents. And there was one scene like that in Fang where originally, and when I wrote the script, I was having Billy and Gina argue over who was going to empty the dishwasher, because that was something that was a frequent topic of argument in my family. And so when we got to the house that we were filming in, we discovered that the house doesn't have a dishwasher, but we were already getting things set up in the script. So now it was changed. So Billy says, "We don't have a dishwasher, Mom," while she is arguing with him over who's going to empty the dishwasher. That made it like a million times better, because then it's like, yeah, this is really crazy now. So I'm really glad it worked out like that.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. Did you kind of did it obviously reminded you of some of the things you, growing up. Was there other parts of the film that kind of brought back old memories?
Well, it was unfortunately it was very fresh in my mind. My dad's struggles with Parkinson's while I was writing the script, and that was making me think, that these diseases, this is real life. Horror is having something happening to you, that it is like a curse or like a possession of your body by something really control. And there was also something that happened at my dad's house where we had a brown recluse spider infestation. It was very
When he told this, I'm like,
Oh, hell no.
they are venomous. One of
Yeah,
it
they.
came close to biting me. In the bathroom, there were a lot of them.
How did you deal with that? How did you get rid of them?
Well, they froze to death in the winter. That turned out to be the solution. But I started thinking, if a spider bites Billy and he starts turning into a spider, that would be too much like Spider-Man.
Two Spider-Man.
It would be the horror Spider-Man. And I can't have him turn into a cockroach. That would be like the metamorphosis. So, he's got to be a rat. process of production.
No, I think it's a wonderful take because we look back at let's say another legendary film, Willard. For those of you out there in Morgrat universe, if you don't know that film, it was one of the first horrifying rat film, not in which its owner, became one, but he kind of commanded an army of them, and they would just kill and maim and destroy. So I am a huge creature feature fan. I always have been. So, oh, absolutely. It's been dreams of mine since I was wee little to work in creature feature films. So I love this concept a lot. I love the idea of, everything.
We've seen a lot of movies about somebody's getting something by turning into something. There's endless potential for for stories based on that idea.
Absolutely. Just the idea of, everything that you were, everything that you knew, suddenly your world is just turned upside down because, you're now becoming
Yes.
and, becoming a rat is not an easy task, I'm sure.
No, it's and I wanted, when I was conceiving of Fang, I wanted it to be like Billy kind of gradually becomes more animalistic, and he's kind of getting more in touch with that side of himself where he wants, to mate and kill and eat, and he's eating his bed sheets in one of the scenes.
Yeah, his animal moves, which is really good. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There is a huge psychosis there. So having that war between your human self along with, becoming this other creature. And I'm sure there are probably some people that would love to see what that's like, but I don't necessarily think they're ready for it. So this film will definitely bridge the gap on reality for that. So as a matter of fact, we're going to go. Oh, yes, most definitely. We're going to go ahead and show everyone here in the Morgrat universe the trailer for this epic Fang. Check this out.
I hope you have a Fang.
Hell yeah. So, Morgrat Universe, there is your inside look at what you can expect from this killer flick. Fang. So, and like Richard said, you can go onto YouTube and see some different clips and stuff. Prime Video and anywhere else that it's coming up. I know you mentioned a few others that I'm actually not familiar with, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't know about some of these streaming platforms either. My distribution partner Dave Vakita and we submitted Fang through Film Hub, and so once you get your movie into Film Hub, they just kind of decide on different platforms, or they show it to different platforms, and then the platforms decide if they're interested. So I saw some of these platforms come up like GeoFlix and Mosaic TV, and I'm like, I haven't heard of that, but I'm going to check out your website now, and you have my full support, and I'll give you a shout out on here for streaming Fang.
Absolutely. And I mean, who wouldn't want that? You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I like to think they made a pretty goddamn good decision.
I would say so.
Platform, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, earlier, just from watching that trailer, everybody out there in the Morgrat universe, that it really comes to life in this one. Like this story, the story of struggle, transformation, how this all comes about. Just the overall acting is utterly amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? So it's right there. If you like a good creature feature, this is definitely the one for you. And one of the things I was going to say.
Thank you so much. Kind words. It really means a lot, to get this interview and to get all of this support. And when I was an angsty, depressed teenager, I never could have imagined that in less than a decade, something I created would be on, streaming platforms and everything, and be going to conventions for. And it really means a lot to me. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you for having us.
Oh man, it is my pleasure. Because everybody here at the Underground knows that I highlight the best in underground horror, indie horror, music, artistry of all kinds. So when you told me about the idea, I just kind of had this feeling that this was so in my wheelhouse that everybody else needs to know about it. And then that's why we're here today. One of the things I was really going to...
that's a great mission. That's a great mission to highlight, the underground, because, we need all the support we can get when it's something that isn't the most well-known. It's really wonderful work that you're doing.
Thank you. I totally appreciate that. Because, when I started this show 3 years ago, I was like, I'm not going to report on anything mainstream because mainstream sucks. Nobody gives a shit about that stuff. The true talent, the true creativity and artistry is in the underground. So somebody's got to do it. One of the things I was definitely going to compliment you on is your non-use of music in every scene. I love that silence. And then you just have, like, in the music score, just a couple of things that highlight what's going on, or suddenly give you that feeling of eeriness. I haven't heard anything that great since, honestly, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Thank you so much. And that was something I contributed to personally in the soundtrack. I do have a composer credit along with Zach Ferguson and Robert Felker on Fang, but yeah, that was very important to me, the soundtrack, and it was. I think it took at least a month of we're right for the music.
Yeah, definitely, because I feel like the less that you have,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we had a little bit of freezing.
It happens.
It happened.
I've learned to just roll with it. We're rolling.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, with so many films rely heavily on music to really set the tone, sometimes it's the sparing of so much music being done for every scene that, like I said, it just becomes creepier. And I feel like you really achieved that with this one.
Oh, thank you. I thought, I wanted for the silence is not exactly silent because there's frequently some kind of like atmosphere, which is like and I figured, this kind of very subtle noise that you're not quite sure what it is. I think that kind of adds to the tension on a subconscious level when you can hear a little bit of static. Maybe, and part of that was this because we had some audio problems. It took a lot of time to sort out. But then I realized we can kind of use that to our advantage to have audio that's unnatural along with the soundtrack as a way to make people uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of that stuff. And I almost kind of, it makes you feel like this is what a rat hears as he's just kind of scampering, knocks over a tin can. You know what I mean? Like that type of shit.
Oh, yeah. No, I wanted that to be like reflect Billy's mind, basically. And we even had rat vision shots in Fang after Billy gets bitten by the rat. There's some shots in black and white. And I wanted that to be like we're seeing it from the rat's perspective because rats can only see in black and white.
Right.
And so, yeah, I want it to all be, we're in Billy's world. The music is basically Billy's brainwaves are going in an increasingly insane direction. I guess that's what I wanted it to be.
Perfect. Man, you nailed it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Hell yeah. So maybe just a little bit about how Billy's girl interest is taking all of this when he reveals that he feels like he's becoming a rat.
Well, I think Myra doesn't take him all that seriously. She's like, oh, here's a self-help book and some Valium for you.
Probably the typical response, I'm sure, that most people would say, you're crazy. I mean, but there's there's so many unknowns. How is it so far-fetched to think that this couldn't be possible?
Well, I found out after I finished Fang, actually, that is a real mental illness where somebody thinks they're turning into some kind of animal, which I didn't know about while I was working on Fang. But I'm like, yeah, that's. I figured it's something that could happen. Hopefully, it's not going to happen, but it could happen. And yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why they call it speculative fiction for horror and sci-fi, is we're speculating on new ways that things could go horribly wrong.
Oh, exactly. I mean, no one's really going to bitch about that, to be honest, because, I mean, you could go back to the Twilight Zone. How many times did they play on psychotics? You know what I mean? From like
Oh
back
yeah.
in the Looney days. So who the hell's gonna say shit about that? Come on. Be like,
Oh
well,
yeah.
you know, did you watch the movie? Thank you.
Thank you.
You,
Thank you. Thank you
you
very
can
much.
as long as you saw it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and I've learned, whenever I get like a negative review of Fang comes up, like some of the negative reviews are just really funny. I mean, I
Oh
roll
man.
with it.
I swear they're just as bad as music reviewers, people that
Yeah.
review new albums and things. I swear it's like they just look for something to nitpick. And I mean, I can be a little critical sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's indie horror. It's not done on a $5 to $10 million budget, so you're going to get way more realism than you would with a budget like that, because then you just have all the access to the extra bells and whistles that most people hate anyway. So it's like, what the fuck? Stop, nitpicking these films to death, because I mean, there's some seriously good material there.
Thank
I wish
you.
I wish people cared more. I wish people cared more about the story versus what big things that you can do in the film. And let's face it, practical effects will always be better than any kind of
Oh yeah.
CG work. I mean, unless you're doing a serious
No, I mean,
undertaking of,
I'm a fan.
you know, people
I'm
love
a
that
fan of
shit because
practical effects and any movie.
exactly.
It has a
And
special quality to it. And we were just talking about Barbarella
Yes, that's
earlier.
true.
That has some pretty incredible practical effects, like from 1968, or so many of like the creature movies from the 70s and 80s still
mm,
look really cool. Now, like The Fly is like, it's just seeing the
right.
eyes are going full insect.
Yep.
That's
I
really
mean, that's
cool.
yeah. I mean, but you just touched upon something very important there. I think sometimes people forget that Friday the 13th was an independent film. It did
Oh
not
yeah.
have an enormous budget whatsoever.
No, I mean
Uh,
a lot of the popular horror
Yeah, that's true.
franchises started out like much like Fang, being made on a very low budget, and yeah, then the sky's the limit. It's all about what you put into the movie. Horror doesn't have to be very expensive. It's usually better when it's not too expensive.
it has a lot more substance when
Yeah.
effects don't overshadow or make up for lack of story.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of the way I look at it.
It's all balance. It's like you want it to have both, but not have one overshadow the other.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's a lot of different elements, and there has to be some kind of harmony in gore and
Yeah.
brutal
Yeah.
violence.
And I think you can go like more raw.
Yeah, I wanted it to be very
Yes.
raw and cannibalistic and all
Yep.
of these things in Fang.
There's nothing better than that. I mean, who doesn't like Oh. So, what lies in the near distant future for you?
Well, in next month, I'm going to be working on a short film with it's called Nazar. It's going to be part of the Symbolicus anthology, and it's a little difficult to explain what it's about, but it does get very weird and has some creepy violence in it, and definitely some makeup opportunities and some practical effects
Huh.
opportunities too. No, thank you. And then I have a bunch of feature film projects in the works, which I want to let people be surprised by for now, but it's
For
hopefully going
sure.
to appeal very much to fans of Fang.
Hell yeah. Fantastic.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Yep.
like I always say, it starts with a dream, and then you speak that dream, and suddenly, it goes into the cosmos, and then something like Fang happens, and there it is. So yeah, definitely keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank
Where
you.
most deaf? Where are the best places for folks to find you?
Well, you Facebook, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Richard Burgin 11. You can look at my IMDb page, and I would be happy to answer any questions that anybody has about Fang. It's the kind of thing where if anybody is hesitant to reach out personally to tell me what you thought of it and saying, is he too busy? Does he not give a shit about people who watch his movie? It's like, no, I do want to hear from you. It's a good way to make my day if you can and tell me the thing, made an impact on you.
Absolutely.
And I
I
am,
mean, feedback.
Absolutely.
yeah, and I am on
You were gonna,
Instagram too. Yeah. If you need any makeup job, it's Isa Red Lipstick, ISA Red Lipstick.
awesome. Well, it has definitely been a pleasure having you both on the show tonight. So
It's
with
been a pleasure to be here.
Great.
oh, trust me, pleasure is all mine. And you'll be able to share this to all of your Facebook because the show, it never goes away. So you can definitely share that out as much as you'd like.
Immortalized forever.
Exactly. And most importantly, everybody, go check out Fang. There's going to be a million different ways to do it. Y'all know where to go. We've said it all throughout the show. So with all the new fans that you've made tonight and any future fans, or let's say even people wanting to get into the indie horror film industry, what is your lasting message for them?
Well, I'm not gonna pretend like it's easy to make a movie. It was certainly a lot harder than I could have imagined before I did it, but anything is possible. You just gotta, put in the time and the effort and be very persistent, and you can totally make it happen. And you got to make sure you work with the right people because there are definitely some assholes in the film industry. And I've even been an asshole myself at times, but once you find your people and you find the right team, it's a beautiful feeling because it's a collaborative art form, and it just becomes so much better because of the people you work with. So I guess that's the lasting message, is that it's not going to be easy and it's not all about you personally, but you can still make it happen.
Hell yeah. Humble as fuck as always. Like I said, you won't get that from any mainstream kind of entertainment, folks. They just don't care at the end of the day. They But thank you all so much for joining me today.
This was wonderful. We had an amazing time.
Absolutely, me as well. And thank you, Morgright Universe, for chiming in. I know this was kind of a out of the blue kind of thing because I don't usually do the show on Monday, but y'all showed up, showed out, and we appreciate that shit. And you will continue to spread the dark word of Fang. And definitely let us know what you thought of it. And as you heard Richard say, you can definitely reach out to him and give him, your 2 cents. But coming up, everybody. Exactly. Coming up in about 10 minutes, guys, on the Morgrat Entertainment Network here is, you guessed it, Tracks of the Damned, where myself and my co-pilot, Human the Hoof Beast, will be discussing iconic heavy metal releases in the month of May throughout the years. So definitely tune in. Don't change that channel. And the most important thing you must always remember is stay heavy.